some evidence to get you up to speed if you didn't watch the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show for the last 90 minutes on YouTube. Yesterday, he practiced. It was described as light throwing. Today, Deshaun Watson came out, made one pass, this according to Zach Jackson of The Athletic, made one pass, immediately went over, walked to the trainer, and that was it. He hasn't practiced since. After that happened, immediately Las Vegas moved the line on this game from Browns -2.5 to Browns -1. That's a significant
massive swing.
Yeah, that almost never happens unless there's a hurt quarterback. So we're going to call a show audible. We were going to ask this question. Right now, you can choose one quarterback over the other. Were you going to take Lamar Jackson, or do you take Deshaun? Yeah.
I'll take Lamar Jackson.
Or are you going to take Deshaun Watson?
Lamar.
For the record, I was Lamar.
Yeah.
I was Lamar.
I was Deshaun.
But now we're calling that audible, and we're saying this. If it is DTR, the Browns' pick at quarterback in the last draft, how are you game planning? What's your thoughts coming into this game with DTR as the starting quarterback, if that's the way it happens?
What makes it, usually when you have a guy making his first NFL start, especially a guy who's not, he's a late round pick. It's not like he's expected to be a starter at some point.
Right.
You would usually want to lean heavily on your running game. And we don't know yet if the Browns' current running game is capable. But we're going to find out. Because if Deshaun Watson doesn't play, I can't have DTR throwing the ball 40 times. They can't win that way. So the Browns are going to have to run it, and they're going to have to run it well. I know the defense has been great, guys, and I expect the defense to play great again. But how much can you ask of them? They're going to have, we say, well, if they're holding the 3 points, well, it's not realistic to keep expecting them to hold teams to 3 points. The Browns' offense is going to have to score, and if they're going to do it, they're going to have a big ground game, because that will open things up a little bit for DTR to get something done in the passing game.
I do think they can throw it, but you're not looking for chunk plays 25 yards down the field with DTR. It's quick outs. It's Elijah Moore in the backfield again, even though we really haven't seen much out of Elijah production-wise to this point, but it's quick shots out of the backfield. It's getting guys the ball in space and making things happen. If you're trying to line up with Jerome Ford and you're trying to run it between the tackles 18, 20 times, I don't think that's very successful either against the Baltimore team. They're going to need DTR to make plays in the passing game. I just don't think it's the same type of plays that you would expect out of Deshaun Watson.
Listen, I expect this to be a field position game. You have to play complementary football. You got to get good special teams. And it's ironic that Nick Chubb goes, under surgery today, because that would be a great guy to have today or on Sunday if you want to run the football. I think you're going to have to lean more on Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt, came in. He was a little banged up. He not really in football shape, but I think you're going to have to lean on Kareem Hunt a little more. And to Jason's point, you are going to need to have some throws from DTR. You can't just line up and run, the ball and hope Baltimore is going to be playing back. You got to hit some throws. You got to use his legs, and the defense has to have a great game.
It's the Baker Jacoby offense of 6-8 yards, throwing to a stationary target. You're not trying to hit guys in stride necessarily. There are ways that you can sort of get these guys into a rhythm early. Kevin's proven he's done it before with quarterbacks, again, like Baker and Jacoby Brissett.
I want you guys to bear with me because I'm still dealing with the stages of grief. But in the last 30 minutes, I have moved on to acceptance. Okay? For denial was big.
You skipped right over anger.
Yeah, anger is obviously. But I'm in the acceptance stage now, so don't kill me for this. DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, if this is his first start, is doing something that no one has ever done before. He's making that start after being a 5-year starter in college. Because of the COVID year, this guy started 5 years at UCLA. It wasn't an off school. It was a name brand school in a conference where he played in front of stadiums that had 90,000 fans. He knows what the hostile crowd can sound like, even though this will be a friendly crowd. If you have to have a first-time starting quarterback in the NFL, this might be your pick because he's got more experience as a college starter than anyone has before. So I'm trying to talk myself into the fact that this is going to be okay. Dumb the offense down, make everything quick, 6 to 8 yards. He looked more than capable. Don't kill me for this. I'm trying to cope. He looked more than capable when he saw him in the preseason.
Right.
Bull, hold your fire.
Yeah, hold on. Don't go crazy.
I'm coping, okay?
I hear you.
I know it's the preseason, but
I'll give you this. It's better that he looked good than
Yes.
bad.
absolutely, absolutely. So
Does
I think we're
anybody
there.
think there's a chance that they would start P.J. Walker, who
No.
has played games in the league?
No. They've got
I
DTR. They
agree.
want to see what they have.
No.
Again, cart before horse. He hasn't been ruled out for the game. It's entirely possible that he runs onto that field Sunday. But right now, it looks like it's trending in the other direction.
I don't think this is disaster.
I don't either.
I really don't.
With this defense, it's not disaster.
Well,
If the
you guys
defense-
both went from 60% to 20% in their chances
Well,
of winning.
that's before I was past acceptance.
But no, that's
Are we going up?
No,
Yes.
no, that's
40%?
Yeah, we did that on the YouTube show. Let's
Yeah.
do it here quickly. My thoughts on the Browns' chances of winning Sunday was at 60%. I said if he's out and it's DTR, it's 15%. I'm now up to 40%.
I moved up to 43%.
I can live at 40% too.
Okay.
I don't think this is not a lost cause because
No.
Yeah.
because Deshaun can't play. Now, it's a huge game, obviously, divisional game. We know all the ramifications of it going into a bye week. You'd much rather be 3-1 than 2-2. But I don't think that this is a lost cause by any means.
Would we love to have Nick Chubb? Of course
Oh,
we
yeah.
would. But with the guys they have back there, Kareem Hunt and Ford, you got to think that they can still make something happen in that vein. And I don't think it's nearly as bad as we thought it was 30 minutes ago.
In 5 seconds, I felt better because I got the Kool-Aid out. There
Drink
we
the
go.
Kool-Aid.
There you
Drink
go.
the Kool-Aid. Now, one thing we do know for sure, barring any last-minute surprises, is Lamar Jackson's going to be there. Number 8 has been kind of mid this year. There's been moments where you looked at him and said, okay,
Yeah.
that's who he is. Other moments where you're still not sure. If the Browns decide to go with a spy, to just keep an eye on him on every play and be his shadow, who should that guy be?
Well, my answer is they shouldn't be a guy.
Nobody.
I would not spy Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
I think taking one guy out of what he's normally doing and telling him, you just pay attention to this guy, I think that's a bad precedent to set. I understand Lamar is a unique quarterback. We all get that. But Mike gave us some numbers in his 5-pack of questions before where he talked about the fact that how bad Lamar is under pressure and how good the Browns are at getting pressure. If the Browns continue to get pressure on Lamar, as they've done to everybody else this year, and the corners, the great Martin Emerson and the pretty good Denzel Ward, if they are able to lock down their men one-on-one, I'm not worried about it. I don't need to put one specific guy. You do what you do. We'll take care of it as a pass rush organically. That's what I say.
Jay?
I've gone back and forth on this 100 times. I'm going to settle on JOK. I do think they need to spy him. If you're bringing heat, if you're trying to flush him from the pocket, you better have somebody there to catch him when he leaves the pocket.
Right.
I liked Grant Delpit until I trust Tyvis Powell more than, any of you guys. And Tyvis said he doesn't think it's as much one-on-one coverage because now you got your backs turned to the quarterback. And honestly, I didn't really think about that. So for that reason, you need Grant Delpit more in pass protection if you're not going to go man coverage on the outside as much. I don't know that JOK has the foot speed to keep up with Lamar, but he's a sure tackler, and you just want someone there. You just want someone taking up the space to fill the hole if Lamar's flushed from the pocket. I've gone back and forth. You could probably convince me again to go Grant, but for now, I'm going to say JOK.
Gee, who you got?
I've been back and forth. Grant Delpit is decent. JOK wouldn't be a bad guy, but I'm going to tell you who you need to be spying with, and it's Myles Garrett. And the reason you spy with Myles Garrett is, first and foremost, you can move him around. Well, I found something, and a bunch of people found something, when you move Myles Garrett to the strong side, to the weak side. What we want to do is we want to get in Lamar Jackson's head. We want him thinking about where is Myles Garrett at? Where is he coming from? I'd move him back off the line of scrimmage. I'd put him at linebacker, and I'd make him worry about where Myles Garrett is instead of worrying about downfield. If you could do that, Zadarius Smith can get home, Dalvin Tomlinson can get home, Obo can get home, and I think that Myles Garrett can be a diversion as well as spying on Lamar Jackson. I go with Myles Garrett.
Yeah, it can't be Myles Garrett because I need him in pass rush. I don't want to not send Myles Garrett after the quarterback. We know what Lamar Jackson is under pressure. He is not nearly as good when the pocket is dirty. So I'm keeping Myles Garrett rushing after the passer. If he rushes the passer and Lamar runs the other way, you have no spy downfield. It can't be Delpit for the same reason that you said. Too far away from the line of scrimmage. I'm going to need him in pass help, in pass coverage help. So I want to keep him back there. He's done fine there. It's got to be JOK. And is he up to the task? I don't know. But he's, of the three linebackers, to me, he's the fastest. He's the most athletic. He's the one that, to me, makes the most sense. One of the things that we've looked at as we take a look at this rivalry and how this game matches up is who's going to win in the trenches, Cleveland's offensive line or the Ravens' defensive line. The Browns' offensive line currently ranks 26th in the NFL in terms of allowing sacks. The Baltimore defense gets home. They're 4th in the NFL in terms of getting to the quarterback. 5th. They average 3.7 sacks per game. Who wins that matchup in the trenches?
Those numbers would tell you the Ravens would win, but I don't buy those numbers because I think Deshaun Watson's responsible for a high percentage of his sacks. I think the Browns' problems on the offensive line are just one guy. To me, that's a big problem. But ultimately, and we had the Ravens beat reporter on yesterday, despite the numbers, he said, I'm concerned. They have Kyle Van Noy they signed this week. He's going to be one of their top 4 guys in the pass rush. So I think the Browns' offensive line is going to hold up well in this game and more often than not win the battle. So I'm going to give a slight edge to the Browns' O-line.
For the sake of this topic, I'm going to say it all comes down to DTR because the ball has to come out a little bit quicker. We talked on the show, the YouTube show, about if it's an hour and if it's Deshaun, he can hold the ball a little bit longer and he can make things happen, and that puts a lot more pressure on the offensive linemen to hold the blocks a little bit longer. With DTR, it's got to come out fast. You haven't earned that right really to hold on to the ball long and try and make something happen. See the read, make the play, get it out. So for that reason, if he can get it out on time, on target, I'll give the edge to the Browns. But it really comes down to DTR and how long he's holding on to the ball.
Offensive lineman's best friend is running play action, getting the ball out. I think if you run the ball, they don't know what's coming. Mix it up front, and that slows down any pass rusher. Take it from me, the defensive end.
Yeah, it's funny. Going into the game, I would have thought that it would have been the Ravens' defensive line for the reason you talked about. He holds the ball for a long time, Deshaun Watson does, and he creates a lot of his own sacks. But if it is DTR, I think you're making the offense 1-2 out. Get to the top of your drop and get the ball out of your hand. So for that, I think it's kind of going to be a wash. I don't think either side's going to be dominant in the trenches.